ticking time bomb. Let's bring in Representative Joe Sestak, Democrat from Pennsylvania, joining us now for Happy Hour. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us.
It's good to be here. Thanks.
All right, so let's see. You voted for this budget, and the president is promising that he's not going to raise taxes on anybody making less than $250,000. But as people delve deeper into all the numbers and, you know, come up with, granted, their version of the calculations, they're saying that every family is going to get taxed. We're going to face higher taxes. We got to pay for this budget.
You know, this is a very good budget. Actually, it's a necessary budget for fiscal year 2010. It's going to get us through this recession. It's got $200 billion in it from the economic stimulus package that adds to the deficit, but is absolutely critical to us, as you saw from the unemployment figures. But after fiscal year 2010, without any question, the President and Congress has to address the structural systemic problems that we have before us, and primarily in the mandatory spending side. Will this take some tax revenues? Absolutely it will.
Right.
And where has 53% of all the revenues tax breaks gone over the past 8 years? To the top 20%. So that's probably where we're going to address our attention.
You know, Congressman, I so appreciate your coming on the show. Having covered Washington and the IRS and taxes and the budgets for about 2 decades, we hear these promises again and again that the deficits will be cut. You know, one analyst on Wall Street says this is the audacity of hope over reason when you look at the budget projections about how GDP growth will be, you know, and the president's projections of how the deficit will be cut down the road. A lot of people don't believe it.
You know, I don't blame you for saying that. But when you actually look at it this time, and you look at what the Congressional Budget Office said about the president's budget, and what it actually even said that if we continued the tax cuts of President Bush after 2011, both of them have a debt to GDP ratio of over 80% and rising as we go forward. There is no question right now, with Social Security running out of all money by 2019, and by Medicare and the Social Security having problems, that now the time has come. I have no doubt that what will be forced upon us is to address this in the next year.
But sir, I'm sorry, as a former accountant, if this kind of accounting was done in the private sector, everyone would be in jail because these numbers don't add up accurately. I mean, and this whole notion of putting off today what you can do tomorrow is pretty much reminiscent of the conversation I had with my son this morning on the way out the door. Your kids are going to be paying for it. And they'll be paying for it. So the whole thing, nothing makes sense.
You know, you're absolutely right. I ran before I retired.
Why did you vote for it?
Well, I voted, make sure I was very clear, and I'll send you my press release. I voted for this as a fiscal year 2010 bill. We're in a different situation. We're in a financial storm. We have to put fuel and spend into the deficit to get us out. Look at back in the Great Depression when President Roosevelt only spent 1.5% of GDP to get us out. It took him 4 to 6 years. We've got to get out very quickly. Then we have to address the issues at stake. Will Congress have courage? I don't know. I can't vouch for everyone.
Can we talk about, you know, us ladies, when we were driving over here from our office to get to the show, we were talking about, boy, you guys are sending out mixed messages, because on the one hand you're saying we need to raise our savings rate, we need to get our financial home in order, you know, don't spend so much on a home you can't afford, don't max out your credit cards, and on the other hand then you're sitting here saying the only way to get out of this economic mess is to spend.
You're absolutely right. What I'm saying is right now, in the next year, the only way out of this, and you saw it with Japan when they didn't do it. You saw it with Sweden when they did do it. You saw it with the SNL where we didn't intervene with the government for 8 years. That only by spending can we get out of this quickly.
But Congressman, the spending is going toward items and projects that will not create jobs. I mean, it was sold as an infrastructure spending bill so that it would create jobs, and it's only about less than a fifth will go toward those projects, right?
Wonderful point. Every time I've been on Fox, I have misnamed this. This is not an economic stimulus package. This is a stop the hemorrhaging of jobs package. For example, $80 billion going to Medicaid. Why? Because in my district, Crozier Hospital doesn't have Governor Rendell with the revenues, because everybody's unemployed, to pay his Medicare bills that Crozier Hospital is now, they're eating it, have to lay off nurses. This money is to stop the hemorrhaging of jobs. It's the WPA program of the Roosevelt era. I've always said that.
Representative Joe Sestak, thank you so much. We love talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know. I got to bridge this.